Hello, and welcome to The Kosh. I'm your host, Timber Smith, and The Kosh is a podcast that spotlights people who've had an association with the Kosh and the surrounding Fox Cities region. Kosh listeners, how are we doing this morning? It is a fantastic morning. It is fantastic. Actually, my only gripe this morning is I should be at the farmer's market. I feel like I should be there, cruising around there, grabbing flowers and fresh veggies and fruits. It's just one of those days. So you know what? I'm gonna warn y'all, Kosh listeners, that I'm gonna have to take a week off at some point and go do some farmer market activities. I don't know. There's just something fabulous about farmers markets. I love the farmers market. And as y'all know, I am hopeful because I haven't gone yet this year. I'm trying to find out if the burrito tent has shown back up. Because, I had an addiction to these farmer market burritos, and I'm really hoping that it shows back up. I haven't ventured out yet, but, me and these burritos had a relationship all last summer, and I would like to rekindle that again, if possible. So,
Do you do the Appleton Farmers Market or the Oshkosh one?
I do the Oshkosh Farmers Market.
The Appleton one has great burritos, too.
They do have some great burritos.
Osario's.
Oh,
Best burrito.
Osario's is nice. You know what? Osario's is nice with it. Well, Kosh listeners, as you can tell, we've got some guests today. And, I think you know what I'm about to say. Well, and maybe you don't because maybe you're a new listener. But for the listeners that pop in every week, there's this thing where I don't know how I continue to get these amazing guests. And this week is no different. And this week we got two guests, which is going to make it even more fabulous. This is going to be a pretty cool conversation, I think. I believe I've got two therapists in the house. And, we can let's do some healing.
All right.
or maybe not. we'll just see where the conversation goes. We're going to go where it goes. Well, I think being on the Kosh is a healing experience in all itself, but I'm biased, but then again, we do have a podcast dog, Bosco, who I think he does his own type of therapy, which Kosh listeners, don't be fooled. Bosco is in the space and he's waiting for somebody to give him a belly rub. He is about this life. But without any further ado, this week's guests are Sarah James and Kathy Klingseisen. Yeah, did I nail that?
There you go.
Got it.
Yeah.
That's so good.
Yeah. Well, I'm not going to lie. Kosh listeners, I remembered to ask in advance how to say the name. So I did not slaughter this week. How are we doing this morning?
Great.
Awesome.
Sun is shining. Couldn't be happier.
It's not raining.
It's not raining, yeah.
Yeah. No, it is. And that's true. We have had quite a bit of rain.
Yes.
But I am not mad about rain because I do have a garden. And this garden creates some of the greatest salsa and hot sauce ever created. I'm about that life.
Sounds awesome. I used to have a huge garden at my other place, and man, I just made everything.
Yeah.
Everything. Yeah.
So why did you used to have a garden and you don't have one now?
Yeah, because I moved.
Ah.
Now I have this tiny little space. It's about 3 feet long by a foot. And I pack as much stuff in there as possible, and I use pots and everything.
Okay.
I got peas, I got beans, I got butternut squash. I'm still making it happen.
Kathy's my go-to for my garden because I have no idea what I'm doing, but it's turning out fine, so.
Wait, is this your first year?
Second year.
The
First year, I would go to Kathy and be like, hey, what is this? What am I growing here? And she'd be like, oh, yeah, this is this, and this is this. And Kathy's my resource for all things garden.
Okay.
But now I live vicariously through you.
That's true.
Mm-hmm.
Now, so my next question is there goals with the garden? See, I grow a garden with the sole purpose that at the end of the season, there will be salsa made and hot sauce made. Is there any goals?
This year it's pickles. We have never grown cucumbers before, so this is our first year with cucumbers. And my husband loves pickles, so we're doing all things pickles this year.
Okay, I'm interested. I've always wanted to do pickles.
They're not super hard. You just make the brine and put it in there, and then we always can. So that's the big part is canning all of our.
But you
all
can
of our
do
stuff.
crock pickles too.
Oh, I've never done that.
Oh yeah, I got a great recipe from my grandmother for crock pickles.
Oh boy.
Well, you
Fast now, it's awesome.
wait now. What is crock pickles?
Crock pickles are pickles that you just get your pickles, and you have like a big something that's not like metal, right? It's like a big container, and you put them all in there, and you and you let them sit. And the longer they sit, the better they get. So you got to be patient. You don't want to go down there and thinking you're going to pull a pickle out at like 2 days or
No.
3 days. It's
No.
like a week, 2 weeks. They get really good and briny. They'll just sit. You could put them in your basement. They'll just sit there, and you go down there, grab a pickle. Sometimes I'd be waiting for my 2 weeks. I'd get down there, be nothing left because my boys would have eaten them all. It's very disappointing.
Oh yeah, yeah. You can't just can't be having these crock pickles
Right.
it not being
I know.
observed under lock and key.
I know they wouldn't wait. They wouldn't
Okay.
wait.
Are
It'd be
you
empty?
now? Let me ask you this, Sarah. Are you donating pickles or cucumbers to Kathy so these crock pickles can be created?
Well, I might have to start now. I didn't know these crock pickles existed.
Yes. Time-worn recipe.
Ooh.
I have crock pickles in our office all the time.
Oh, we could do that. We could.
Well,
Good.
well, I'm just throwing this. As you can see, I'm trying to create this partnership so I can get some of these crock pickles.
That's right. That's right.
That's what I'm in it for.
So that's what gardeners do.
Hey, that's
Right? We
facts.
share. We share.
All right, y'all ready to jump in?
Absolutely.
Okay, so, and I think we'll start with Sarah.
Okay.
Sarah and Kathy, can you please share a little something about yourself and your connection with the Kosh and the surrounding Fox Cities region?
Sure. So I grew up in De Pere, Wisconsin, so a little outside of the Fox Cities area, but I went to college at UW Oshkosh. And I
Ooh,
studied,
Titan.
Yeah, absolutely. I studied psychology there and got a minor in neuroscience. And then I moved on to my master's program down in Milwaukee. I went to Cardinal Stritch, which unfortunately is no longer a university, but it's okay. And I lived in Oshkosh during that time. So me and my now husband lived in Oshkosh down, I think it's 76, I want to say. So we've been here. We lived in Oshkosh for about 6 years. So we loved Oshkosh when we lived here. He's a huge bowler, so shout out to Revs. We love going to Revs. In Farview, we had our first date, so we love to golf as well.
Oh, yeah, you're just
Yeah.
hitting all the landmarks.
I know. We did a lot of stuff when we moved here. We loved being in Oshkosh. And then we moved to Rice Lake after I graduated. It was during COVID, so I was looking for a job to get my hours to get my license. So we moved all the way across the state to Rice Lake. Shout out to Randall Therapeutic Services over there. They do great work. And then we got married, started a family, moved back to Appleton, and now we reside in Appleton, and we love it, and it's our home. So, yeah, that's it.
That's it.
That's it.
That's the journey.
That's the journey.
Okay,
Yeah.
Kathy.
Let's see here. I think I was trying to think about how many years I've been in the Fox Cities. I originally grew up in Milwaukee and then lived for a while on the border between Illinois and Wisconsin, a little town called Paddock Lake for a while, and then moved back to Milwaukee, finished high school at Dominican
Oh,
High
you.
School.
Oh, yeah,
That's
you.
where I went.
Okay, I went.
Yeah.
I'm a Whitefish Bay grad.
Are you?
Mm-hmm.
No way. We used to use your track.
Oh, I know.
Dominican didn't have a track.
Yeah.
Yeah, and our football games were there too.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yep.
So Dominican High School. And then, after I stayed there for quite some time. You know, I got my bachelor's and master's degree at UW Milwaukee. And then after I graduated, we moved north, worked for a while in Manitowoc. Then we moved to Green Bay. I worked for a while in Green Bay. Then we moved to Neenah, and I raised 3 kids. I had 3 kids, 3 boys.
Ooh.
3 boys. Oh, man.
That sounds like refrigeration problems.
Man, actually it was. And I have to say, with 3 boys, one of the biggest things I would think about every day, I'd wake up in the morning and I'd go, what am I going to feed everybody? That's what I'd think about every single day. Will I make enough food to feed them? And I would, have regular recipes, like you make one recipe and it's like maybe for 4 people.
Right.
I would multiply it by 5, and that would get me through that dinner and lunch the next day.
Now that's brilliant.
That's how you had to do it.
I just want to share with you that you woke up thinking about what you were going to feed them that day. They woke up thinking, what were they going to eat that day?
Absolutely. One of my sons one day tells me, Mom, it's more about, it's not so much quality as it is quantity, Mom. Think quantity, like potatoes, pasta. Because I would always, they knew I'd be worrying about this.
Hey.
Oh man, but their boys are awesome. I'm telling you, they're fantastic.
3,
just fantastic.
no.
3 boys.
That's no joke. All right, Sarah, we got children's?
We do. We have a 1.5-year-old boy, and we actually have one on the way. So we will have him in December. So I will have 2 boys. So hearing Kathy's story of having 3 makes me think I need to up my food budget a little bit. So
you prepare your recipes.
Yes.
You might only have to do 3 times the recipe.
That's true. We're gonna need a lot of crock pickles. We're gonna need a lot of food. So yeah,
that's awesome. 1.5. Okay, that means they're mobile.
Oh yeah. He gets into everything and anything, and we kind of just let him do what he wants as long as he's safe. So he has a lot of interest, but right now he loves soccer balls, baseballs, golf balls, any kind of ball you can think of.
Okay, that's fantastic.
Yep.
See, people always talk about like terrible 2s, but I always think the 3s are where it's at. Like 3s is when it gets real fast. By then they can communicate some. They're pretty fast. They're agile. They're like little ninjas running around.
It's great. It's great.
They're quick. Ooh. You can't take your eyes off them for any amount of time. Otherwise, they're into something.
Oh,
Well, I
fact.
tell you, my granddaughter is something else, though. I mean, she's going to be 4 next week. And I have never seen a quicker moving, more energetic little kid. She's fantastic. Shout out to my granddaughter.
Now, see,
She's
I
adorable.
haven't figured out at this point, is it just because we slow down so much that we're looking at them thinking, wow, that was really fast. Maybe I used to be fast at some point in time that I could have kept up. But now, nah.
No, that's true.
Yeah.
I know my mom just watched our son for the first weekend, and she's like, I am not as young as I once was because he can move and he can go, and thank goodness I don't have to do this 24/7.
Does she need a nap?
They all needed a nap after that weekend.
Let me just say, I am looking forward to that part of my life. There is something, it seems very cool about the opportunity to get to be a grandparent. Like, there's privileges with it. And yeah, I'm all about that life, and I do plan on buying noisy toys and lots of sugar. I'm going to do all the things that I am supposed to do. It is in the handbook as far as I am concerned.
Oh, the noisy toys. Oh my goodness.
I try to restrain, but sometimes it's hard.
I think it's payback. I truly think it's payback.
I just want to know, why are you trying to restrain? Stop that.
Because I remember what it was like for me, and I think, oh, I just want to have mercy.
You're a nice grandma.
Oh.
If you weren't doing what you're doing right now, what would you like to be doing?
I can tell you what I want to be doing.
Go for it, Kathy.
If I wasn't doing this, I'd be in the mountains running a retreat center.
Oh, man.
Oh, yeah.
In the mountains?
In the mountains. It'd be beautiful, sunny. I'm picturing the wildflowers. I'm picturing the walks. I'm picturing deep, intense conversations. I'm loving it. I'm loving it. This is where it's at. Beautiful, beautiful. Maybe a mountain lake. Of course, I'd have to.
Do we got a set of mountains in mind? I got to know.
Yeah, it's got to be the Rockies. It's got to be the Rockies.
Got to be the Rockies.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, man. Your answer makes my answer sound really weird.
I'm not saying my answer would ever happen.
Bruh.
I just went for it.
There you go.
I would be an accountant.
Really?
Yes.
Would you?
Me and my husband actually had a chat about this. I really liked rules and structure, and I liked numbers growing up, so I thought maybe an accountant would be for me. I mean, yeah.
I don't think that's weird, but I will say this. I've never heard somebody said, well, if I could do anything in the world that I wanted to do, I want to be an accountant.
I mean,
that's some different baller stuff. That's different, bruh. I'm just saying.
I mean, professionally, I have a lot of other hobbies, but like professionally to make the money, it would probably be an accountant or a researcher.
No,
Okay.
I think that goes with my idea. Like, because if I'm thinking pie in the sky, I need someone to like
Run your books.
make it happen. Obviously, there's
Look, this business plan coming together here on the Kosh.
a business plan.
It's a business plan coming together here on the Kosh. All right. I just want to take a quick moment because I forgot to mention this at the very beginning of this episode, but this episode of the Kosh is sponsored by Sunken Paddle Cider Works. Making the best of it. First of all, I just want to give a mad shout out to the gentleman over there at Sunken Paddle. If you don't know, and look, I'm going to have to fill y'all in because, look, I'm going to tell you right now, I can already see Kathy and Sarah over here got the question marks on the faces, and they're like, what is Sunken Paddle? Well, let me tell you what Sunken Paddle is. We have a cidery in Oshkosh.
I didn't know this.
Over on 17th Street. And the two gentlemen, Spencer and Doug, make these amazing ciders. And we recently have partnered with them to make a cider called the Kosh. And the Kosh cider is habanero and blackberry.
Oh, goodness.
Oh, it's fabulous. And and here's the thing, it's not hot. It just has this amazing peppery undertone on the tongue with blackberry splashing across the front of your tongue. Right? It is good. So it's not hot, but does it give you a little heat in the chest? Just a little bit.
It's making me think that as soon as we're done here, we should go over there and have some of this.
Not only should
But
you
I'm
have some
thinking
of this.
about it.
You can have some.
I'm thinking about it.
Oh, that's right.
I know.
We've got a visitor.
I know.
Yeah.
I'll have one for you.
There you go. You can tell me how it is.
Wait, how Wisconsin of you?
Bruh. So kind.
Hey, but I will tell you this. The beautiful thing is, and I'm happy to share this about Sunken Paddle, is they have one day a week, they have these open hours, tasting hours, where you can go there and you can actually have free tastings of all their ciders. And it is from 12 to 5 on Saturdays. And they have usually, it's somewhere, I think, in Spencer and Doug, don't get mad at me, but I think it's about 12 to 13 different cider flavors. And they're going to tell you what went into them. And here's the thing. Most of this stuff that goes into the cider where they're resourcing their apples and other flavors from fruit, all natural flavors, is local. So they're dealing with farmers that are local or with Wisconsin and such. And so it's just cool. And they're going to explain it to you. And it's yummy. Yes.
That's really neat that it's local too.
It is
that's
local.
Kind of a kick for me. I really I'm starting to kind of think we need to, when I buy Christmas gifts and things like that, Want it to be local.
And not only that, like it's not something you can do anywhere else. Like this is special to Oshkosh. And then once you go once, I promise you, you're going to want to bring friends. So like every time I meet new friends or friends come visit, I go take them to go do the tasting. And like, it's just amazing. Yeah. So
is this new? Like I
you haven't, you know,
haven't heard
well, they're about to celebrate their 2-year anniversary.
Oh, okay.
Yes. So I want to send a big shout out to them. And hey, if y'all get a chance, be sure to go pick up some of the Kosh cider. You will not be disappointed.
I'm on my way.
There you go. Okay. So y'all ready to jump in to the first segment?
Absolutely.
All right. First segment is called What in the World is Going On With? That's where you start with the phrase, what in the world? And then you tell us what's on your mind. And I'm going to let y'all choose who wants to go first.
Do you want to take it away, Kathy?
Should I? Dare I? Okay.
Oh, don't be scared.
All right.
No, don't be scared here.
All right. I'm not going to be scared. I'm not going to be scared. But, this had, because of the recent debate.
Bruh.
I knew that was going to elicit a reaction. Because of the recent debate, I've been thinking about the elections and specifically mental health and the elections. That is what in the world, right, is going on with mental health and the elections. And, I'm starting to get panic attacks. My chest is tightening thinking about the last round of the elections and what was going on in those therapy rooms. And man, I that was something, I have to say. And if the Kosh wants to listen to me tell a little story and maybe have a moral at the end, seeing that we're from Rawhide, right? And this is what we're doing. I got some good advice for parents.
Now, wait a minute. Now, are you offering to tell this story right now?
I could, or I could wait.
Bruh.
Wait a minute now. No, dude, look, I'm going to tell you what we going to do. Let's do that story now. I hope you got another one for later for story time.
I have stories.
Okay, then we're jumping
stories.
in because never would I be denied because I am fascinated.
Oh, man. So, as everyone remembers, the last election wasn't just about the election, which was enough, but we also had the whole pandemic thing going on.
Facts.
Right? And let me tell you, being a therapist during that time was something else. I'd have to say the difficult part for me was watching what would be going on when you had kids coming in. And I had kids crying in my office because of what was going on in their houses. Both ends. Because people were so worked up about everything and were so polarized and there was so much drama. I mean, we had parents fighting with each other. We had opinions being thrown back and forth. I mean, vilifying the next door neighbor. I mean, it was unbelievable. So these kids are crying. And I tell you, I had to bring parents in and like counsel them. Like, guys, right? These are your kids. We all need to like take it down a few notches. Make a friend, make a friend. Or remember that you had a friend, right? Who used to be from the other party, right? And maybe invite him to your house and show your kids that you can be friends. You can sit down and have a talk without going there, Like, we don't got to be like ready to kill each other here. It was unbelievable. I mean, kids had like some major depression, major mental health stuff. And it was the same with the polarization with the whole pandemic thing.
Oh yeah. The whole mask, no mask, like that was just ridiculous.
Oh, the stories I could tell you about that. And just my clients coming in and just what my post-traumatic stress clients coming in, like being attacked in the street, being in stores, people would attack them. They're running out of the store, like having a panic attack. Unbelievable. People had no like mercy or understanding for what was going on with other people. They just didn't look deeper. Like these weren't people anymore. They were people that had a different idea, and you're just like hating on them.
No, we started dehumanizing.
Absolutely, we did. We did. It was it was a tough time. I'm telling you, being a therapist, and both ends. I had people, adult men and women, crying in my office, feeling scared to go out of their homes. It was something else. It was something else.
What helped change it or curve it or start to heal it?
Well,
or have we?
So,
or are we sitting on the cusp of it happening again?
So I think things started to calm down about, God, I'd say maybe 2 years after the election. But it really has never calmed down fully. I think my fear is, and the reason why I wanted to bring this up again today is because from a mental health perspective, can we all learn something from the last time around? Can we better be prepared to support our kids through this, to encourage listening skills, to, just be interested in hearing what the other person has to say. I mean, we don't have to agree, but there's reasons why people feel the way they feel, and being able to just listen to that goes a really long way, because I've really found that most people just want to be heard.
Oh, facts.
They just want to be heard. And so I'm a little bit edgy about what's coming down the pike after the last round. I mean, and I have to say, I don't know about you and, Sarah and you, Timber, but, it was a lot for all of us to go through that last round. And I'd like to see some improvements this time. I really would. I think I spent a lot of time helping bring people down off the edge, trying to get people to open up perspective so that they weren't so alienating the other side, right? Like, okay, let's just think about this for a minute. Let's examine this for a minute. Why don't you just try watching a different news station?
Oh, big time. First of all, you need to watch both, because you need to know what each of them are saying and then what each of them are leaving out. Yeah. What I'm going to say is, like, my feelings on when it was challenging election goes before this last election, and it goes back to Obama. And I'm just going to call it, because we had some people who really had a hard time with our first black president, and they needed to tell us. And when I say us, I mean us with tans, about their feelings and all the other things. And so that's when I saw some of our best, to me, as fellow Americans and outside of America, not just Americans, but just, I want to say, like, fellow community members, right? I saw some of our best, but I also saw some of our worst. And so this, to me, was just a transition further into it. Like, this just, we're on this trajectory, and we're not, how do we curve this? But this goes back further than the last election.
Hearing you. I'm totally hearing you on that. Yes, you are right. You are right. So, so it's like you got that election, then you got this last one. Right? It's like we're almost always having like these, almost a PTSD response to having another election, right? Because it's like, what are we going into this time? And how can we personally make an impact in that area, right? In our own little sphere. And I think those are questions that we all need to really think about, because it's not just about the election, it's about us as a group. Right? And how can we work through this together?
Well, the problem is that we separated from being a group.
Exactly.
That is, to me, the foundation of the problem. Yeah. Because before, I feel like when you had politics before, to me, it was kind of all the same, and then you argued issues, right?
Yep.
We spend too much money, or
Right.
we need to do this, or but at the end of the day, like, the other side wasn't necessarily villainized. It was just more like, I don't believe in those policies, and they're wasting resources and money, or whatever their thing is, or they're not doing stuff good for the people and these kinds of people, right? But now we have just gone and we fully are two different teams. And I'm not even sure that the two different teams are playing the same sport anymore. I think they're playing two different sports.
But I'm still, I don't know. I hear what you're saying. I guess maybe I'm just so stubborn that I can't give up hope. I keep thinking, you know what, like, can we just stick with what matters, right? And what really matters is our country. And can we listen? Can we keep listening? Can we try? Even if people around us aren't, can we do that? Like you were talking about even having the Kosh, right? As ways to get to know our community, right?
Yes.
That's like a thing. Like that's a thing. When I'm in my therapy and I got people coming in and this stuff is going on, my job is to be like, okay, well, what can we learn about these people? I know you're really upset right now, but can we slow it down and try to figure this out and not let go of our stuff, right? Of our values, but just be open to learning, you know?
Facts.
Trying to figure out how I want to jump in on this conversation because I am a younger voter. I can't even remember who was my first election. It might have been Trump and Biden the first time around. But now my perspective is, I mean, who is the lesser of the two evils? I mean, it's hard to choose when it's the same perspective over and over. It's this versus that. And I think Kathy brought up a good point about community. And I mean, your community can be based on your political party, but in a community, you have all different types of people, all shapes, sizes, colors, ages. I mean, it's not just one size fits all. So I think moving your perspective to like, oh, my friend may be a Democrat or a Republican, but also my friend is a homeowner like me. My friend is a mother or a father like me. It doesn't just have to be about right or left. It can be about you can make community based on anything. And I think we've moved away from the things that make us similar into things that only make us different. And I feel that polarizes us even more, and it divides communities, it divides families, and it's hard to see from a therapeutic perspective, but even from like a family perspective. Like, you have families just getting ripped apart because they are so polar opposite politically. You forget that you're family, and at one point you really enjoyed being around them, and it's really hard to see just in general.
Yeah, it's a tough one.
Facts.
Oh, politics, man. Oh,
Hey, but you know what? The Kosh is a safe space. We can have this conversation. Let this be an example that these types of conversations can actually happen. All right, Sarah, what's your what in the world is going on with?
Oh man, my what in the world is social media. I was trying to figure out how I wanted to go about this because, like, we see a lot of kids. I mean, we see adults too, but we see a lot of kids coming in with depression, anxiety, and we instantly think, oh, social media, which I think is a part of it. I mean, you can have a lot of really negative things on social media, and if we take it back to a political stance, like, if your algorithm is set one way, then you only see one perspective, which it's a whole different topic. But I think social media can also be used for really good things. I was thinking last night, like, there's a lot of good that comes out of social media. You if you are on the side of social media where you do get different perspectives, I mean, you have the opportunity to practice looking at a different point of view. And also, you can get a lot of coping skills off of social media. You can learn and build community based on a diagnosis or symptoms and get help that way. It might not be from a licensed therapist per se, but it'll make you think that you're not alone, which is super beneficial to kids, adults, anybody. So, I mean, I, as a therapist, use social media as a coping skill. I mean, scrolling TikTok, as long as it's good stuff. I mean, you can definitely go down a rabbit hole of not good things on social media. But I also use it for group therapy. Like, relating to teens is super hard to do, especially not being a teen myself anymore. And it's super hard to do without being able to relate to them through social media.
Sarah, you're running a DBT group right
Yeah.
now for teens, two different age groups.
Yeah.
And you've incorporated some really cool aspects of the social media into what you're doing.
Yeah, and I mean, I enjoy, if I enjoy it, I can only imagine they would enjoy it. So I try and use a lot of social media in kind of what I do, and I feel like from a therapy perspective, I can regulate a little bit, I guess, which all parents should be doing. If your teen or child is on social media, you need to know what they're getting into. I think that can kind of be a big problem because children and teens are so good at social media, at computers. I have people who have tried to cut off the Wi-Fi and learn how to get Wi-Fi from other places, and man, these kids are just super smart. And I think parents have not caught up to that yet. So I think parents need to be more informed, and I'm not 100% sure in what ways they could be more informed besides like computer hacking skills. But I definitely think that like social media is, I mean, it's a huge factor for mental health, both positively and negatively. So that's my what in the world. It's like, man, how do you teach these kids how to be productive on social media without absolutely losing their minds?
It's bigger than that. And I think as much as there is that personal responsibility about it and trying to help help craft the guidance for what it really does, there's a certain amount of this, like you really do have to think about how companies approach it. And it's the incentive of engagement. Right. No one talks about that part, because that's how it's designed. It's what's it designed to do? What is the incentive that the company is trying to do? Because that's what makes you stay engaged. Right.
Absolutely.
It's how they set up their incentives is how they keep you engaged. And like there just needs to be what I think is some really thoughtful and practical and intentful protocols and things put in place to make sure that the incentives are set up appropriately for our young people to not lead them down rabbit holes and astray.
Absolutely.
Or have them just unable to disengage from it. That's my thought process. I've done some reading on this whole thing with the incentives and how it's the littlest things that can control how engaging something is, like how they set up a button. What does that button do? And it can make all the difference. I actually was listening to a podcast that I can't remember if it talked to the person or the person that was best friends with the person that invented the scroll.
Okay.
Think about how the scroll totally changed everything about engagement. Right? The endless scroll. Because if you think back, it didn't used to be an endless scroll.
That's right.
You had to go screen to screen.
Yeah.
The endless scroll totally changed engagement. That's an incentive.
Well, that's something I never thought about before. All those little those little changes that add up, and they can really change the trajectory of everything.
Everything. And so I encourage people, like, do the research and actually read a little bit about it, listen to some podcasts about it, because there's so much more that goes into it. We, as the But I think we're all semi-informed. We're all informed just enough to be dangerous.
Bruh.
Yes, I agree with that.
And so we know that there's issue in social media, but I'm with you. There's really good things about social media. So we need to understand further about where these incentives came into play, who knows how some companies know how to do it well, and then some companies have totally took the controls and keep their foot on the gas. So like part of the reason that TikTok is so addicting, because I hear this from people all the time. I actually don't have TikTok.
Oh, good for you.
And the reason I won't is because I hear from too many people how they lose 3 hours at a time.
Oh, yeah. Easily.
But TikTok doesn't have anything in the way. So like they've just got it wide open for engagement, and that they're going for it, right? And so that matters. So, okay. Love that one. All right. My what in the world is going on with is, and you know, Kathy, since you brought up these
Here we go.
this debate, what in the world is going on with black jobs?
Bruh.
What does that mean?
Yeah, I'm very curious about this.
No. See, look, I feel some kind of way about it just because of the phrasing. Like now, so understand this. This conversation I'm about to have with y'all does not have to do with which side of the fence you should vote, you know, where your political leanings is. What it has to do with just racial and stupid things being said. Because what's a black job? Can someone please tell me what's a black job?
I could not.
What?
No.
What would that be?
Yeah, and then to tie it with your black jobs are being stolen by those illegally crossing the border, those illegal immigrants, those with criminalities, but those are black jobs. What does that mean? Because this was said. This was said during the debate, right?
Yes.
And that is what he tied it to. He tied it directly.
So there's implications here.
And you tell me, because it sure sounded like it. It doesn't sound like implications. It sounds like direct correlation.
Direct correlation.
I mean,
and then let's take it another step. And I'm going to try to maneuver this without being offensive, because I'm not trying to be offensive at all, because the Kosh loves all. And I really do. And I have a very diverse life. I kick it with everybody and got friends from everywhere.
Speak it out.
But the thing is this. So like, if you're talking about jobs, particularly he went to spaces where what I think he's trying to say is basically people who are immigrants, right? And I'm not talking about the immigrant who comes here who's got a bunch of education or anything, right? This is an immigrant who's starting from the beginning. And there's jobs that they tend to do, right? They're going to do those entry-level jobs, those manual labor jobs, those jobs, right? I'm just being 100. I'm not trying to be offensive about this, but that is like where it's at.
Well, and I think I think there's many businesses apply for, I can't remember what the name of the status is called, but they ask for so many work permits for people, especially in summers and things like that.
Yeah, there's things associated with, like, if you need people to come and, like, migrant workers to come and work your farms and stuff like that, right? Yep. But there's more to that. We're talking about, you know, hospitality, service level, this kind of, and so my question is, and I don't want to take away from the dignity of honest work, because I don't care what you do. If it's honest, it's the greatest thing on the planet. I respect all work. That's how my parents raised me. There's no bad jobs as long as it's an honest job, right? But when did that get correlated with black jobs? Now, I don't know about you, but last time I checked, most African Americans are Americans.
That is correct.
Right.
So
We are all in agreement on that.
they're just Americans, which means jobs, all jobs.
Yeah.
Entry level jobs, management level jobs, C-suite jobs, ownership jobs, entrepreneurship jobs. But when did this little segment become black jobs? And do y'all realize what was really said and implied, directly implied by one of our candidates about a constituency who is the fabric of this place and helped build this joint, if not built it.
You're right.
That these jobs, because I gotta drive it home. That's where it's at. I don't know if y'all really caught what was said, but we should all be highly upset and offended by it because it goes bigger than black jobs.
Right, you put that separation in. Like, why was that even needed? Like, what purpose does that serve?
Yep. It speaks to, I think, a fear, which I think certain candidates like to expand on, and that is to create fear among their constituency. And I'm not saying it's right, but it motivates. Fear motivates people. And
so does anger.
And so does anger.
And guess what that just did?
100%.
Because I don't care who you are, and I don't like to generalize often. But I promise you, right now, in the black community, we are all having this conversation about black jobs.
Yes.
And we might have to show up. There might have been people who was like, I don't know if I'm really going to show up this election. But guess what? I'm showing up now because of black jobs.
No, I think and I think people should.
Oh, no, we all should vote. But
no, I think I 100% support what you're saying. And I think if we keep going down that path, right, what are we doing? What are we doing here? You know, like, from a woman's perspective too, a lot of people think of women's jobs.
mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? There's certain things, and you can see from those positions, there's not always equal pay. There's not, or even value for some of the things that women end up doing. So there's a basic understanding. Not being black, I can only imagine, right, and guess, because I don't have that real life experience.
Well, you
you
might in your own way, right?
Yeah.
Because you could take out black and put in said identity.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know,
Right.
you could take out black and fill in the blank with the next identity.
Yeah. Even neurodiversity.
Yep.
What
Disability.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All those things. Yeah, it's a tough one. Yeah. That is a what in the world is going on. And I'm definitely going to be following on that one. What's going to be happening? My parents are involved in Milwaukee with a couple movements. One is the Ezekiel movement. My dad does that. My mom is involved with Voces de la Frontera in Milwaukee.
Yes.
And we hear a lot. I hear a lot of stories through my folks. And just the outrage, the marginalization, the hopelessness, and the helplessness of feeling like I can't get out of this. And every single person, and I'm so proud of them, because at least they're like, okay, you know what? At least I can do something to like give people a chance to have a voice. Or, my mom does a lot of stuff with the immigration. People who don't have a voice, people don't want to hear about it. You're not a citizen, so you don't get a voice, right? Or with my dad, You are a black man who was imprisoned. So now you don't get a voice. No one wants to hire you, right?
Yeah.
It's
Like he might have 34 felonies. I don't know.
correct. And so it's like, how do you, and people have to care about that and go, okay, how do you give people a voice and a choice, right? And it's not, you can't just sit back and think, okay, like we don't start at the same place. How can we move into this and give a helping hand to folks? Like, give a step up. My dad's like, hey, these guys need training. These guys need, did you know that in Milwaukee, most of the work that's done there is hired by outside people, contractors from outside, where you got people in the city that could be trained and like be paid good, solid wages to do stuff, but
Facts.
nobody's doing it. And so part of what Ezekiel's doing is grabbing those people and going, do you want some training? Do you want to work and help make this community better? Yes, right? So people are stepping up. These guys are amazing. They're working it, and they're working with some of the things that are problematic, like trauma, like a lot of these guys, there's a lot of trauma, right? So it's like, okay, can we come alongside people in the trauma and support them because they can do this stuff, and having faith, and I think that those things build community, and it's like not closing the blinders, and it's like joining hands and doing something, I think is important. And we need to figure that out, how to do it.
Facts.
I think perspective. I think it comes down to perspective. And I think like podcasts like this are so important because like we don't necessarily go out of our way to get a different perspective. So it's so important to the election, to life in general, because I think a lot of people don't want a different perspective, and it's so important to anything, life in general. Like, how do you know what you don't know if you don't ask somebody, or if you don't get a different person's perspective?
But I think for most people though, Sarah, I think that's uncomfortable. If you want to get a different perspective, you got to get uncomfortable. Right. You got to be okay with that. You got to move into the discomfort of doing that.
Why does the different perspective have to cause discomfort?
It can, because if you are so polarized and you've grown up with so many ideas about another group of people, you might come in with like fears.
Oh, no doubt.
You got to move into that and move into the discomfort of learning something new.
But my thing is like, why does it have to create discomfort instead of just create like acceptance? Yeah. Because like, if I know you different, right, then I expect difference. And if difference is expectant, that's not a cause of discomfort. I'm expecting difference. I'm expecting you to see it differently, experience different things. It's like I have a lot of interactions with immigrant and refugee populations. And I tell you, I learn the most from them all the time. But I never go into anything, any interaction, conversation, learning from, with, or teaching them with the expectation that there's not going to be difference, and therefore there's no animosity. There's just not this feeling of I don't even know what to call it, because I just know there's difference.
Yeah, but that's you, right?
Yeah, but I mean, why wouldn't that be most people if you know that if you're having a conversation with difference?
that would be great.
I see what I see what you're saying. That would be great.
That would be great.
And that's not how it is.
No, I mean, I love that. I love that. And I think if we, as in our families and in our culture, start to move towards that type of an attitude, I think it's going to get us a really far way down the road. But for a lot of people, there's a kind of a fear-based close-mindedness that has to be dealt with. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's going to come slowly, but it's going to come with bravery. You know what I mean? It's like, I think the thing, I would want to challenge people on is having some courage, recognizing that it's okay for there to be some differences, but it's a cool thing. It's exciting. It's not so much about, fear or, we don't have to think that way, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's getting people to grasp that idea that it's okay and that this is normal.
I agree. So I'm going to get a little vulnerable here right now. I grew up in De Pere, Wisconsin, which, I mean, there is or at least when I was growing up, there's very little diversity. We had a pretty large Native American population, but outside of that, it was predominantly white. So growing up with that perspective of this is how the world is, it didn't faze me at all. And then when I moved to UW Oshkosh, it was like, holy cow, there are people here. Like, there are people different than me. And it was a beautiful thing to see. But I was also raised to be curious about different things. And I think when I went to UW Oshkosh, it was like, oh, you're different than me, but you also have the same interests as I do. And it's cool to see. And then I had the opportunity to travel to Guatemala for a service trip in my senior year, and it was like, holy cow, these people live differently, but also they're incredibly happy, they're thriving, and they have a great family structure. They were so welcoming to us. They loved to cook for us. We attempted to learn their language, they attempted to learn our language, and it was so different, but it was so beautiful to see. And I personally was blessed to be able to have that curiosity of different populations. But I don't think everybody gets that opportunity. And I think at least for me, going into higher education really opened my eyes to that, because I would have just stayed in De Pere, Wisconsin with my group of people.
Your silo.
My silo, yes. And I would have never been able to have that opportunity. And then to get what social media, and bring it back to social media, and what the news often presents of different cultures, it was like, that's where the fear, I think, stems from, is you only get what people want you to see. But if you don't get out there and see it yourself, then you don't get to make an opinion or an informed opinion. So I think it's incredible. And if anybody has the opportunity to go explore a different area, to do it, because it gives you a different view of life.
All right. I'm going to say this last thing, and then we're going to actually get into the episode, because believe it or not, we've only made it to the first segment.
Oh, we could talk for hours.
We're in it. I'm just going to say what I've learned most about that, taking that approach and understanding that difference, and that difference I'm going to get different things, is actually the more I learn from different people, the more I find out we're actually the same. And it goes full circle. There's details we do different. There's traditions and ceremonies and food we do different. But at the end of the day, the foundational things we mostly do the same, and it centers around wanting great things for your family and the ability to be able to provide for your family, and wanting the best for your children, and wanting to be a good parent, and wanting to have shelter, safety, education. I don't care what culture you're from, at the end of the day, we all come back to these, mostly come back to these basics, right? And then
Amen.
it's like, are we really that different? And what were you scared of in the first place?
Love it. Love it.
So, all right. That was great. Loved it. Okay. Now, we're going to move to the second segment. And the second segment is called 21 Questions. And this is where we have questions, not 21 of them, but these are really quality questions that we always hope that we might solicit 21 answers. And in all honesty, I'm super excited to ask these questions to y'all because y'all are in the mental health field. So I'm just putting pressure on y'all. I'm just assuming that there's going to be this great level of thoughtfulness.
Oh, of course.
I'm feeling like
Bruh.
pressure now.
Good. All right. And because of that, I won't start with you, Kathy. And Sarah, we will start.
All right.
Sarah, we will start with you in the first question, but I am going to ask these to each of you back to back, or if you want to jump in right after each other and answer. The first question is, what are you grateful for?
This is a great question. I mean, different points of my life, different hours of my life, I'm different gratefulness topics. Currently, right now, I am incredibly grateful for my supportive family. My husband is playing with our kiddo and they're going grocery shopping while my parents are putting in new flooring in our house. So I am incredibly grateful for the support of my family. Yeah, I love my family.
All right. And that is such a therapist answer. And, I'm going to second that in saying my relationships. I mean, what is more important to a therapist than their relationships, right? With other people. That's the main thing. And my relationships, I'd say, are the thing I'm most grateful for. And there's another thing, and that is my legacy from my family of my faith. That is something I am super grateful, thankful for every day, because that is the foundation of me and everything I do in my relations with the people. So thank you, family. Thank you, relationships. Still grateful, relationships, therapy.
All right. We're going to keep this order. What motivates you?
I mean, if we're being completely dead honest, I am motivated by money. I mean, the support, to support my family, to pay my bills. I mean, that's probably my top priority. And I was actually just asking my kiddos in my DBT group about their value systems and stuff like this. And I did it with them because I was just curious. And financial stability was one of my top values. And I was like, well, that makes sense. My parents have preached financial stability from a very young age. So, I mean, it makes sense. So I am definitely financially motivated, but I also like to help people too. And that gets me up in the morning and gets me to my job. So you have to like your job at least a little bit to be able to do it.
I will say that accounting answer earlier is all making sense now.
Yes, it comes full circle.
Full circle.
I was drawing that same line. I'm fascinated. I'm finding out new things about you, Sarah. This is great. This is great. I love that. And I love the differences. I don't know. This is going to lead to more interesting conversations with you.
I think therapists, like as a therapist, we have such we have our cookie cutter answers that we give all of our clients, like, why'd you become a therapist? But in reality, like I am a person, I am a productive member of society, and to be honest, getting a paycheck, that keeps me coming back.
Facts.
Exactly. It does. But you kind of went in the wrong field for that.
Well, I mean, I can still pay my bills. I can still do stuff, have some fun. Go get a cider at Cider Works.
There we go. Bring it home. Yeah, no, I love it. That's great. For me, I stuck with the therapy concepts. The thing that makes me most motivated and to get up every morning is I love when either I or someone else has an aha moment, and it motivates them to push to that next level. Like, it's like you kind of watch as your world changes, as their world changes, who's ever having the aha moment. And those things, I mean, I am so excited at the end of the day if I have someone with an aha moment or if I get one. It just, oh my God, the energy is through the roof.
I do enjoy a light bulb moment.
Yes. So awesome.
What grounds you?
I think for me, I ground me. I think if I rely on other things around me to ground me, those are very there's a variable to that. So I have learned how to ground myself through breathing, through meditation, through mindfulness. I am predictable to me and only me. That's the only constant I know in my life is me. So I mean, I ground me. That's one of my skills.
I love that. I love that answer. You know, for me, I guess I would have to say primarily my number one is my faith. Just spending the time in prayer, that's super grounding to me. But also, I love being out in nature so much. If I want to just get in tune with myself, that's where you're going to find me. I'm going to be out there. Any time of the year, it doesn't matter. Love that.
Once again, we have full circled into the mountains.
Yes, back to the mountains.
Yep, you're seeing it. You're getting the picture.
What does success look like to you?
That's a really good question. Oh, man, I have a lot of answers for this one too. I think when I come home at the end of the day and I see my little boy running through the sprinkler and just laughing just hysterically because it's so fun to him, I think that is success to me, that he is able to have a life where he doesn't have any worries and he doesn't have to grow up faster than he should. Because I mean, we see kids with trauma, with generational trauma, and coming home at the end of the day knowing that he is good and he doesn't have a care in the world but that sprinkler. That is incredibly successful to me.
Yeah, and for me, I think success to me, and I haven't always done this well, but I think success to me is, did I move into the challenges that have come to me with authenticity? Did I give it everything I had? Even if I made mistakes, did I embrace them? I mean, like, I guess kind of like just going full force. Did I live with passion? I guess would be I'm laying there on my deathbed. That's what I'm thinking, you know.
Can I ask a follow-up question to that?
Yeah.
What is passion to you?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm going to write this down. This might become one.
Ooh, that's
Like, because
you got timber there.
Because, and this is very therapeutic of me, because my passion and your passion could be totally different. Yeah. So what is passion to you?
Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah, passion would be challenges, being able to live authentically, owning what's inside me, engaging with other people in authentic, real ways, having that connection, that deeper connection, like being able to draw people out, me being drawn out with others, with things that are going on in my life, not holding back. That's, to me, that feels like passion. If I've got an idea, I want to follow it, right? Like, to me, that's passion.
All right, Kathy, I want to invite you the opportunity to ask Sarah the same question.
Oh, and I was just going to do that because I'm like, wait a minute.
No, Kathy.
Yeah, no. Wait, you can't just be asking a question and then like not expect that one to be back on you, you know?
That's
so like
fair.
what, yeah, so what's, what does passion mean to you?
Oh, man. I'm a listener, Kathy. I'm not a talker. Passion. I think I agree with your authenticity of just diving in full force, unapologetically and fearless. Because if you like it, if you love the thing that you're doing, great, keep doing it. If you hate it, find something else. It's not hard, but it's the fear that drives people, like you said earlier in the segment. Fear drives people, but it doesn't have to be scary. You can change that fear. And I totally just went off on a side tangent. Passion. Yeah, I agree. Passion is just being unapologetically doing the things that you want to do.
Is that what it is to you?
Sarah.
Because I heard what you did. You was giving me a nice little general answer, and yeah, that wasn't gonna fly. I listened too.
Passion. I guess I'm stumped. I've never thought about this before. Timber, what's passion to you?
Tacos.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Look, I was ready.
Oh,
You thought you was gonna get.
nuts.
You thought you was just gonna get me, girl. Come on now, stop
He was
it.
talking about that relationship with tacos earlier. Now we know it was passionate. We're learning.
Yeah, right there. Look,
Passionate
look, if you're a Kosh listener, you already know. Like my relationship with tacos is passion. Tacos is happy.
That's true. That's true. You can't go wrong with a taco.
I have to say, I'm not trying to bail her out, maybe a little bit, but I've seen you, like, so for example, she's got like these DBT groups going, right? Mm-hmm. And like one of the things that I saw with you was that spark of like enjoying that unexpectedness of working with the group, kind of like I could see her like kind of lighten up with that, like wanting to go towards that, not knowing, like she couldn't control what was going on in that group.
Okay.
You know what I mean? But like that was, and I could see her little eyeballs like glistening. You know what I mean? Like, so I was like, ooh, a little passion moment there for her. I don't know. I mean, that's just an observation.
Okay, so I'm gonna go off that because that's a good segue. I am passionate about a challenge in a puzzle. Like I go for it when it comes to like trying something new. I don't live with fear, or at least I try not to. There's definitely things that I fear, but I think like even today when I came into this kind of nervous, but also like excited. Like I don't know what's gonna come out of my mouth. We can take it multiple different ways. So I guess I'm passionate about a challenge, but passion in itself, it's like.
Well, I would like to say that I think you've just created a new question in 21 questions.
Nice.
I think we might keep that one.
That's a tough question. That's a lot of insight.
What irritates you?
To be honest, I love my husband. I love him dearly. He loves sauce, ketchup, mustard. He loves his sauce, but he leaves the last little inch and a half of sauce, and he thinks he's gonna go back for it, but then he opens up a new bottle of sauce, and it just drives me nuts.
Well, I love everything about that answer. I love everything about that answer. Because that was real.
That is as real as you're gonna get. Because man, that's passion. That's passion.
There was passion in that.
Yes,
It was.
Oh.
Well, I was thinking about that, and I was like, what really irritates me? I thought about it. I'm like, you know what? This is a no-brainer for me. Okay. So, when you're going down the road, you got two lanes that, it's two lanes going in the same direction, and you got to narrow down to one. And everybody knows that you're going to narrow down to one lane.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that one lane, you're driving for miles, right? This is me driving to work in Shiocton. Mm-hmm. Hope people don't know which thing I'm talking about here, because otherwise they're going to be watching for me. But it's like you just hate it, when that one person's got to get in front of everybody else, right? And they're so competitive about it. And then what do? They slow down. They slow way down. And then you got this line of traffic, right? Including yourself for like, I don't know, a half mile behind them. Oh, it's one of those ones. It's just a pet peeve of mine. I know.
That would drive me insane.
It is. Every Thursday and Friday, I got to deal with that on my way to work. Yep.
Yikes.
What scares you?
Oh man. So I have a story behind this. So we had our first child in February. So we had a little Packer game baby shower. And my husband invited a lot of his friends, and they have kids because he's a bit older than I am. So all of his friends have kids, and I asked one of his friends, I was like, so what's it like to be a parent? Because he had 2 little boys, and he's like, I think about death all the time. And I was like, wow, that's really morbid for a baby shower. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I didn't think about that until recently, where I'm like, holy cow, like what happens if something happens to me or something happens to my husband, and now this little child is in the world by himself. So I think death probably scares me, and leaving my family behind. But I'm never, like, if you asked me that 10 years ago, I'd be like, nothing scares me. Nothing.
Well,
Yeah.
I that was never a thing for me, but
Really?
I know people who started to have that fear after they had kids.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I did not have that, but apparently it's pretty common.
Really? Well,
Yeah.
I'm among good company.
Yeah, it's not just you.
Yeah.
It's not you. I'm glad I didn't have that fear.
Yeah, it's an interesting fear that I never thought I'd have. And I was like, oh, that's an odd answer for a baby shower. And he was right. I mean, it comes on fast.
Yeah, it's a little dark for baby
Yeah.
shower, but
He was being honest.
yeah. I
Yeah,
love
that's
authenticity.
real.
Yeah.
That's real.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, so here's mine. And mine is more of a general fear. And then I have another one with a little bit of a thing on there I want to add. But for me, it's kind of like that moment that you have right before you make like a really big decision. It's like you're sitting there and you're about to make that decision, and you realize that that decision is going to change everything. And it's like, it could be exciting, and it can be, but then you get, for me, I get the doubts. What if this happens, or that happens, or this happens, or that happens? And then you're like, you have to kind of just throw it behind you and like jump off the cliff. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Yep. That is kind of a fearful moment for me. And then just a little one is, I have claustrophobia. So I do not like I have a fear of enclosed spaces. And I'll tell you a story about that one. Has anyone been, right? Any of the listeners or any of us in this room been to the Arch in St. Louis? Has anyone been there?
I've never been to the top, but I've seen it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have you been to the top of the Arch?
No.
Okay. Don't do it if you have claustrophobia, because I'm telling you, what they do is they load you into that arch and you get into this teeny little elevator, and up you go, and it is so small, and you're leaning forward in this elevator, and it's so cramped. And then you get off, and you're in this arch, and it's so enclosed. And that's when I was a kid, and I learned that I have claustrophobia. And I was sweating. Yeah, so major fear. Fear. Ooh, claustrophobia. Yeah. it's fair.
What recharges your soul?
Ooh, that's a good one, too. So I'm an introvert, which I think stumps a lot of people because we're therapists. Mm-hmm. But
Until you told us you wanted to be an accountant.
No. I mean, that is very fair. That is very fair.
That one's not going to be forgotten at this point.
Oh, no. I'm going to put accountant on my door. I forgot. What recharges? Yes, I'm an introvert. So recharging is, I like to do crafts. I like to do puzzles. I'd like to be alone with myself and watching Netflix, the show I want to watch on Netflix. the things that I want to do, nobody else bothering me. So I feel very recharged after doing puzzles. I love puzzles.
Oh, you should see her office.
Oh, I got a lot of puzzles.
She
a lot
does.
of 3D puzzles.
Yeah, and what about that puzzle you're doing with the Harry Potter 3D
Oh,
thing
yes.
with all the? Oh my God, it's unbelievable.
Yes, Hogwarts.
Yeah.
My 3-part Hogwarts puzzle.
Yeah. Ooh, I love that puzzle.
Love it.
And her macrame stuff in her office. She
That's
does all
true.
that. It's so cool.
That's true. I do a lot of crafts. Love crafts.
I love that. Well, mine's repetitive. What recharges me, I think we've heard this already, and I bet Timber and Sarah can guess what is recharging for me. And it is 100% absolutely being out in nature. 100% by myself, totally recharging. Love hiking. Love it. Oh, I absolutely love it. But I did put another one, and that is those deep soul connections that you can have with like other people. Like, there is nothing more inspiring when you have a good friend and you're like, you are really going deep and you are just talking and you have that deep connection. Man, that can fire me up for days. Just having that soul. I love that. I love that.
We are opposites, Kathy.
But but believe it or not, I have an introverted. I lean towards introversion.
Okay.
Hence the nature.
That's fair.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, here's the heavy hitter question.
All right.
How do you define love?
Oh, that's a good question, too. I mean, these are all good questions. From a therapy perspective, love is connection and being with people that you really like and have a connection with. So, I mean, that's what love is to me. And I think a lot of people deserve love. I mean, love doesn't have to be like the romance and the flowers and the candles. It can be just saying hi to your neighbor on the way out the door. It can be giving your kids a kiss before you leave for your job. It doesn't have to be big or spontaneous. It can just be.
Yeah, I agree. It can. My definition of love has changed over the years. In the beginning, my thinking on love was that you gave everything with no boundaries, no limitations, and there was absolute total loyalty. It didn't matter what anybody else did. It's just you were like all in. And I learned after, I guess over time, that in a way, my definition was kind of, it's great, but I think there was some fear base in that definition of love. I think it didn't include representing yourself and having a voice and showing up authentically in the relationship, and that can be love too. Showing yourself by having boundaries and, being like, hey, this is where I end and you start, right? Otherwise, it becomes about hiding, And that's taken some painful life lessons for me to learn that love is so much more. Yeah, that's what I have to say about that.
I love how you said boundaries, because I think a lot of people attribute boundaries, at least from what I've been hearing in my practice, to like hate and fear.
Yeah.
When in reality, you can't touch the hot stove, and that's me loving you.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to see you hurt. And even like self-love, love for yourself, having boundaries for yourself, not letting other negative things get to you. And I think that's super important.
Right. Well, exactly. It's because you can't really be in a loving relationship, right? Unless you can love and care about your own boundaries and other people's boundaries, right? That to me, there's a huge foundation there of respect, right? And trust. And respect and trust are critical. And you can't respect and trust someone if you don't know them. And you're not going to know them unless you know what's okay and not okay for them, right? and the person has to say what it is. And I haven't always been that person. So I've had to learn a great deal, in my life, and that's why my definition has really changed over time.
Last question. What is the most memorable life lesson you've learned from a parent, a guardian, or a mentor?
Ooh, I mean, my parents are very different. My dad is an introvert, which is surprising to me because he's a broadcaster, so like being an extrovert is his job. Whereas my mom is very much of an extrovert, but she worked in insurance for a long time. She's now a dog groomer. So now she has more of an introverted job. So I guess the thing that they taught me was not necessarily from their words, but from their actions of like, you can go out and be an extrovert and still be an introvert, or vice versa. You can be whoever you want to be and do whatever you want to do. Just do it with passion and do it fully.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I have so many memorable life lessons, but I'm going to limit it to what I think is my first life lesson, and that is from my grandma. She was larger than life. Man, I had the privilege of having her in my life for 44 years. And man, I'm so blessed to have that. But one of the things that she taught me the most about kids was that kids need to be included, not indulged. And how I learned about that was she was so excellent at like including me with what she did. Like, it wasn't like, oh, here's a toy, here's the newest thing, go play with that, right? She was like, here, Kathy, come on in the kitchen, you stir the soup. Or my grandmother is Polish, right? Was Polish. And so here, you cut out the kolaches, right? You help me with this, or let's go grocery shopping. You pick that out, or you sort this, or here, you help me come wash the dishes. It was always inclusion. And I don't ever really remember being sent off to do something necessarily by myself. It was always, come on. And I always felt needed. I always felt that I had a purpose, and I was absolutely valued in that relationship. And I think a lot of kids, if you're not included, how are you going to feel like you're part of something? Because you first need to feel like you're part of a family, and that you have value, and that you're important, and that you're needed. And I respect her for that so much. It greatly shaped the way I worked with my kids, the way I had relationship with them. Yeah.
You both have survived 21 questions.
Ooh.
I love that answer. That is so true. Okay. Next segment is called Word Association. This is where I throw out a word and you tell me what comes to your mind. All right. And we have a tradition here on the Kosh. We always start with the same word. It is the word of love. It is the word of family and community. It is the word that bonds us all. It is the word of inclusion, and that word is food.
Oh, yum, food. Well, I was listening to the House of Hoagies podcast, or the lady who owns House of Hoagies. So I'm gonna go with hoagies because that sounds delicious, and I being pregnant cannot have a hoagie right now, and I just want one so bad.
Big shout out to Lona.
Oh man.
Oh man, so first thing I thought of was farmers markets.
Yes.
That's the first thing I think of: food, organic, all that. But, and I heard that you were lactose intolerant. I also am, but I have to say, if there's a place, Frio Mexican treats.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
They got a dairy free.
and yes, but I haven't had that. I've only had the other ones, and you got to have several churros stuck into them
Tell me more about this place because I've never heard of this
Oh,
place.
Hugo. We know Hugo. That is our man.
Where is this?
Rio.
Where,
It's
how
in
do I get
Appleton.
there?
Yeah, it's in Appleton. It's on Wisconsin Avenue.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And it is, so they have, you just have to go. They have a complete menu of everything you could possibly want to eat that's sweet. And they have homemade ice cream in there.
Oh my goodness.
Fresh homemade ice cream.
Yes.
And you got to have the churros in there. You
Yeah.
gotta have
Oh, the churros are fire. And then,
churros.
and I'm going to tell you the secret. Don't sleep on the avocado ice cream.
Oh, that's
Like,
interesting.
it sounds like it'll be off, but it's on.
Okay.
It
I've
is
not
on.
had that.
Woo! You missing
right,
out. Missing out.
I'm going.
And make sure you give a big shout out to our man Hugo over there at Frio.
All right.
Like, we got love for that cat. He is awesome.
Writing that down.
Great place. Yeah, you want to go there. That's what I'm thinking of now.
That might be the on the way home.
Yes.
Stop.
Yes.
Well, first it's the
Yeah, we got to go to the cider
first
works.
is the cider place.
Yeah.
We gotta go there first. Then
Yeah.
then Frio.
Well, since you brought it up, cocktail or beer?
Oh man. Okay, you know what? I didn't actually. The only thing that came to my mind was my parents. I know that's a weird association, but like every night, my dad makes this little old fashioned for my mom, and then he has his whiskey or bourbon right on the rocks, and the two of them sit at the table and they talk, and I'm like, isn't that sweet? Like, what a sweet thing that they do. They have their little cocktail.
Oh, mine was originally going to be Blue Bobber because I love Blue Bobber from Fox River Brewing. But now that you have a story to go along with yours, so my dad loves craft beer. He has like an app and everything for trying all these different beers. But he does broadcasting for the Wisconsin Herd. So that would be our tradition.
Oh.
So that would be our tradition would be to go to these herd games and just drink Blue Bobber. Because they sell it there and it
Yes,
is
they do.
fabulous.
Okay.
Or Red Bobber. I like Red Bobber too, but Blue Bobber is my favorite.
Okay, let me just throw this out there that Timber has been a season ticket holder since the herd became.
Oh, really?
And we're about that life, and so I have
Yes.
unofficially not met your dad, but have been in the arena with him many times.
Yeah, his name is Ted.
Ah,
Ted Stevaniak.
okay.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
That is awesome.
Yeah. So he's got a connection to Oshkosh.
Okay. I'm feeling that. And you know what? I'm just going to take a brief moment to once again give a shout out to the sponsor of this particular episode, which is, once again, Sunken Paddle Cider Works, making the best of it. Just want to send that special shout out to Spencer and Doug. And once again, I want to remind people, if you have time on a Saturday, so let's say you're listening to the Kosh and it is pre-12, by 12, go make your way down there. Go taste all of those amazing, yummy ciders. Go have the Kosh cider. Don't let that habanero blackberry throw you off. I promise you. You will be like, oh, it makes you do this. It's fantastic. Please try it and then let me know what you think about it. I am curious. Okay. Shop local.
So this one makes me think of the farmers market because they're all so good. I can't remember what it's called, but there's a little shop on College Avenue that sells all of these little Wisconsin things, and they do a lot of like funny Wisconsin sayings like the ope and old fashioned and what are they called? Supper club. They have like a supper club map, and it is just the most fun place I think I've ever been to. And it's just so funny going in there because they have new stuff every time. And I wish I knew what store that was, but it's on College Avenue. If anybody knows what I'm talking about.
Excellent.
Next to Roding Wynn's record shop, I believe.
I know the place you're talking about, and I can't think of the name of it, but I totally know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Oh, and you know what? The store that popped in my mind was also on College Avenue in Appleton. And it's because I have a therapy dog that I work with every day. I have gone into this store several times. It's the Depository
Yes.
on College Avenue. and they have treats and toys and all sorts of
Yep.
stuff down there. And so, yes, Badger and I are fans of the depository.
Right next to Legendary. If you haven't been there,
yes.
Oh, yeah.
oh, that's a good one too.
Yeah, we be stopping in Legendary.
Yes.
You handle that business there.
Yes.
Some of that dairy free ice cream with a cookie. They're cookies.
They're so good.
Yeah, there's snickerdoodle. I get a scoop thrown on a snickerdoodle, and all is right with the earth.
Monster cookies.
What? And this is right by Depository, and I have like not had these cookies.
Oh yeah, it's on the corner. They make cookie sandwiches.
Yes.
Yeah.
I know what you're talking about. Oh,
Yes.
now I'm going there.
Yeah. Big shout out to them. They're solid. Super solid. Concert.
I have a good one. So when we lived in Oshkosh, we obviously frequented the Herd Stadium. Oh, it must have been 4 years ago when Ludacris came.
You were at that concert?
I was. Oh my goodness, it was so good. It was such a great concert. And it was such a small venue that you were right there and you could see him, and oh, it was good. It was awesome.
Wow. Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh man, I have so many thoughts about that. There's one that's a big one that's a small one, but I was at back in the day, what was that place? It was in East Troy. Oh man, down by Milwaukee. What was that place called? Anyway, it was big
Alpine
outdoor Alpine Valley.
Yep.
Yes, in East Troy. And I saw Billy Joel concert there
Ooh.
years ago. And that was so much fun. I'll never forget that. He was great.
Yeah, I've seen
Right?
Billy Joel twice.
Have you?
Yep.
Oh,
Once
yeah.
at AmFam Theater or Stadium, and once at Lambeau Field.
Yeah, he was much younger when I saw him. Yeah. That was a long time ago. And the other concert I think of is so I'm up in Kimberly, and there's they have these little Kimberly band concerts up there. And I take my dog for a walk, and every now and then there's a concert playing. They have a little ice cream social, and I'll stop,
Love
and then
that.
all the little kids come over and they want a pet badger. And that's kind of fun. Just like a little local thing. You know what I mean? From your community. People just kind of hanging out, enjoying that. Yeah.
Streaming.
Kathy, do you want to go first?
Oh, yeah. All right. Okay, so road trips with my sons. Because they always got their playlists, right?
Okay.
And I let them play their playlists. And that is so enlightening and and super fun. And they even put together playlists for my middle son, Zach, has put together playlists for me specifically that he knows I'll like. And that makes my heart warm and all that kind of stuff. I love that as a mom. And I also am a huge BBC mystery person. So I am going to be streaming like what were my Midsummer Murder, anything, Hercule Poirot. I know that's like geeky and all that, but you know what? I love it so much. Okay. That's enough about me.
No, I love that.
Okay. Now that reminds me of driving from Rice Lake, which is about an hour north of Eau Claire, all the way down 29 to Green Bay to visit my parents when we lived over there. Holy cow, we streamed podcasts. We found some pretty interesting weird podcasts because it's about a 4-hour drive. So we dove deep into the murder mysteries and Crime Junkie, and I think we did Dr. Death, which is about the
Yes.
the surgeon who wasn't actually a surgeon. We've done like Disney, like taking apart Disney films. Yeah, we went down a rabbit hole those couple of years in the podcast world.
Oh, man.
Diversity.
You want to go first, Kathy?
Absolutely. So for me, first two words I thought of were exciting and mind expanding. Yes. That is the attitude that that I grew up with in my family, and I've always loved it. I love just the traveling, the whole thing. And I think that's part of what made me want to go into this field is just the curiosity about other people. And I love learning about other people. I love it. Oh my gosh. Drop me somewhere, and it's exciting. I like that. That's what I think about.
Yeah, so I think about I help out at the YMCA summer program through Rawhide, and it's elementary school kids, so kindergarten through probably 5th or 6th grade. But we've been doing a lot of social emotional learning. That's kind of the little part that I run, and they do a lot of, well, that's not fair. That's not fair. You did this or you did that. And I always have to explain to them, like, fairness is treating people based on what they need, not everybody getting the same. So that's kind of been a big part of what I do at the YMCA. So that's what that made me think of, was fairness.
Having fun with that. Okay.
Okay. I've got a new one I'm going to add in this week.
Uh-oh.
Ooh, boy.
All right.
Okay.
Lay it on
Yes.
Walkout song.
Oh, yes. Kathy, you go first.
I can go first. Oh, this is so easy for me. So it's definitely Overcomer by Mandiza.
Overcomer
Overcomer
by Mandiza.
by Mandiza.
Okay, that's your walkout song.
That's my walkout song. I just love that song, and it's the one.
Okay.
Oh, she's looking it
Oh,
up.
man.
She's going deep here.
Oh no! Take your time. Take your time, because I get it. Because I know in my mind what my walkout song might be, but then I might need to go look up the artist to make sure I'm getting it right.
yeah.
But you know,
Maybe she's got a list of walkout
well, someone
songs.
hit me with this question recently, right?
What is your walkout song?
Oh, I've got two.
Oh,
Yeah.
what are your walkout songs?
Okay. First of all, Timber by Kesha and Pitbull,
Yes.
because of course it's very fitting.
Yes, of course.
That's actually,
That's logical.
that's actually my wedding song too.
Oh,
That's where I get a solo, no matter whose wedding it is. No, I'm
There
just
we go.
playing. All right. And my other walkout song is So Fresh, So Clean by Outkast.
Yes.
Oh.
It's an awesome song.
Yes. All right. You ready?
Yes, I'm ready.
She's ready.
So my husband's a huge Brewer fan. He grew up in Milwaukee, so that's his thing. So we have this conversation on a regular basis. So the most recent one that I have found would be Number One Spot by Ludacris.
Yes.
Yes. I actually on TikTok the other day, I heard them starting to do reels with it, and I'm like, that's it. That's the one. That's my end all be all.
You know,
Guess
That's
who's
the one.
back?
Sarah, I am learning so much about my Ludacris loving accountant friend.
Yes.
This is fantastic. I must say. I don't know how the two went together, but somehow it does fit.
know-
They fit very well.
Yes. I am a treasure box of different things.
yeah.
here.
Yes. Yes, you are.
Hey,
I-
I've found that sometimes your accountant types can be your more surprising personality.
Oh, they kick it. Don't sleep on accountants
I'm
now.
serious.
I run with some of them.
They are, yeah. You wouldn't
true.
think, and then you're like, whoa.
Well, they party hard. You know,
Yes, we do.
work hard, party hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how they do.
Absolutely.
That's a rough bunch. Don't party with them. Yes.
I love that.
Okay. All right. Next segment. The next segment is called the Kosh Hidden Gems. This is your opportunity to share a hidden gem with the Kosh audience. And with that, it does not have to be located in the Kosh itself. It is a hidden gem. It could be something everybody knows about, but maybe they don't know these details, or maybe it's something you don't think a lot of people know about. What is your hidden gem?
You want to go first, Kathy?
Oh, I always have something to say.
Go for it.
You
Go
know
for
I
it.
do. Okay, my hidden gems have to do with nature, of course. And one of my favorites, the Ice Age Trail. Loving the Ice Age Trail. Like, you don't have to do all 1,200 miles, but there's a little segment near you and you can do it. Seriously, that is awesome. The Ice Age Trail. And the other one is Hartman's Creek State Park single track trails for biking. If you've never done them, super fun. There's a beginning, intermediate, and advanced trails. I have a bike that will only handle the beginning trail, and I think that's pretty much all I could take anyway. But super fun. If you like hair-raising, heart-pumping experience on your bike, go there.
Yes.
Super fun. Yes.
So I have two. Being a parent of a small toddler, building for kids should be named building for adults because holy
Yes.
cow, is it fun for adults too.
Oh, it is wonderful.
Oh, I never, well, I think I went there once when I was younger, like on a field trip or something, but it's right by our house and I'm like, let's just try it out. We got a gift card for Christmas. Oh my goodness. I will be there every weekend doing crafts. Like my kid will be in the little toddler play area and I'm like, bye. I'm going to the water area or I'm going to do the little crane thing and man, is it fun.
So what was your
Yes.
favorite area?
The water was
The water one. Yeah.
awesome. But yeah,
I'm going to suggest check out Food to Grow,
really. Okay.
where you can scan the food and you scan the food. And then as you're scanning the food, if you want a recipe with the food that you're scanning, it can pull together a recipe for you.
Yes.
And it's set up as a farmer's market
Okay.
for
Very
kids
cool.
to, yeah, it's deep.
Yeah. Interesting. And then my second one is actually in Oshkosh. It's called the Homie Hub. I don't know if either of you have heard of it.
No.
But I think it's pretty new, but it's a coffee shop / let your child play area. So I want to say it's south side of Oshkosh, kind of by the airport, if I remember correctly. But they do like birthday parties. They do pretty cool place for parents to go to connect while their kids are playing in a secure area. So I have not been there yet, but I'm part of their Facebook page and I'm like, I gotta get there. I gotta do
Wow.
it. And a lot of my Oshkosh friends have been there and they say it's awesome. So
I would have been there every day if they would have had.
Yeah.
that on.
All right, that's a new one. I haven't heard of that one.
yeah, I think it's fairly new within the last year or so. And I believe they now work with the county. So if you have county funding, they can take your county funding to go play there.
That is awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. It seems like something that's really needed in any area
Yeah.
where parents can just go to decompress.
Oh, facts.
Yeah.
All right.
Awesome.
Well, at this time, we're going to take a brief commercial break.
Did you know there are children in the Fox Valley in need of hearing aids, but their parents struggle to provide them because of lack of insurance or high copays? I am Juliette Sturkins, audiologist and board member of Here in the Fox Cities, and proud that this small local nonprofit organization has helped fund hearing aids for some 30 kids. Your donation would help more children hear. Visit hereinthefoxcities.org to learn more and to see their smiles. Every child deserves to hear.
All right. We are back. And I just want to take a moment and for you out there listening, Kosh listeners, you know I do offer free commercials to nonprofits. So if you're a nonprofit out there and you would like a commercial on the Kosh, please feel free to reach out to me at askthekosh@gmail.com. Once again, that's askthekosh@gmail.com. If you are a for-profit and you would like a commercial here on the Kosh, please feel free to reach out to me. Or if you'd like to sponsor an episode, like our friends over at Sunken Paddle and our friends from Sturgeon Spirits, please reach out to us and come sponsor an episode. Help the Kosh keep going. All right. So at this time, we are moving into what is my favorite segment of the Kosh, and that is story time. And story time is an opportunity for our guests to tell us a story. And that story can be about absolutely anything. So, who's kicking off story time for us today?
I'm going to go first.
Hey, let's make it happen.
So, my story comes from my time at UW Oshkosh. So, I was 2017, my last year of college. I believe I had just broken up with a boyfriend at the time. So I was angry and sad. So naturally, I used my coping skills and I went to the gym. And for those of you who don't know, UW Oshkosh has a beautiful gym, and all of the athletes use that gym to work out and practice and do things like that. So I was there using like weightlifting because that's my thing, and I was getting ready to leave, and this lady approached me, and I'm like, I've never seen you here before, but she's like, oh, what, I saw you working out. What year are you? And I was like, well, I'm a senior. I'll be graduating in the spring. And she's like, oh yeah, my name is Mary, and I coach track and field. I'm the head coach. And I'm like, oh, that's cool. She's like, if you were younger, I would say like, come try out for the team. Like, come, like, you're built, and we need built females to throw for our throwing team. So I'm like, oh yeah, that would have been awesome. But yeah, I'm a senior. I'll be like 3 months. I'll be out of here. So that was that. And I got a shout out to Mary, who is actually going to the Olympics this year for weightlifting. She was an incredible power lifter. So I went back to my dorm and I thought about it, and I'm like, this lady like literally was watching me at the gym working out. And I'm like, that's awesome. So maybe a couple weeks go by and I'm like, you know what? I'm going to reach out to her. And I mean, why not? What do I have to lose? And I think that's where my fearlessness came from, because I had just broken up. I had nothing tying me anywhere. I had to do something because I couldn't just sit in my dorm and cry. So I reached out to her and I was like, hey, if your offer still stands, I would like to come and throw for you, at least for a couple of months. She's like, absolutely. So I went to practice. We did weightlifting, and it was only for a couple of months, but we traveled with the team. I threw shot put for a couple meets. Discus, I was really horrible at discus, so I didn't throw discus, but I actually was able to throw javelin at a couple meets, which is an incredible feeling, running with sharp objects. So
don't we tell our kids not to do that?
I know, and I'm like, yes, I will take the sharp stick and throw it for you. So that was kind of an incredible opportunity that just kind of came out of nowhere, and I was able to at least represent UW Oshkosh for a short time in their throwing program. So it was awesome. They welcomed me with open arms. They knew I was graduating, so they're like, yes, like we're gonna get you to where you need to be in such a short amount of time, and they let me do it, which I think is an awesome thing for just anybody to experience, being on a team, a student athlete. Even if it was just for a couple of months, it was awesome. And I played golf for UW Oshkosh for a season, so I like kind of knew, and I had all the paperwork in to be a student athlete, because I think a lot of people don't realize that being an NCAA athlete, you have to go through a ton of paperwork and physical testing. So it was so cool to be able to just go out there and do it on a team. And now I'm fearless. Now I can do anything.
I love that story.
Yeah.
That's like really exciting.
Yeah, and I mean, what did I have to lose? But
No, nothing.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
throwing objects. It's awesome. It's powering.
Wow. It's like the story I was going to tell. There's certain pieces of my story. My story is so different than yours, but there's pieces of it that are like moving through discomfort, right? Like that's such a theme. And I think a theme we've been really talking about even all day. During this time, it's like moving through discomfort, going into something that you're maybe fearful of, or just makes you uncomfortable, and embracing it. My story is more about that wonderful moment that many women get a chance to experience called childbirth.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. And Timber, we might lose you on this one.
No, I'm look.
But he's following.
I'm
Okay.
tracking.
Okay,
I'm
he's
tracking.
tracking. Because you went through childbirth once.
Well, I was in the room, and let me tell you, It's unforgettable.
Yeah, it's unforgettable. And believe me, it's unforgettable for those who are experiencing things.
Oh,
I'll tell you
yeah.
that. Yes, and the reason why I bring it up is because, when you're a first-time mom, that experience is, there is so much excitement that goes into it, but so much fear. You've never done it before, and it's terrifying. It's hard to be in the moment. You don't know what's going to happen next. There's like anything's coming around the bend, right? You just don't know. And you don't really have a lot of faith in yourself either at that point in time. You've never done it. You don't know. By the time I had my third, I'm going to tell you what an experience. And I learned a lot from my giving birth to my third son. So I have a lot to be thankful for to him. So a shout out to my son, Jonathan. It was an amazing experience, and it set the tone for a lot of my thinking. You know how you get those aha moments, those shifts? This was one of them for me. In this particular delivery, I decided that I was going to slow down, and instead of bracing myself against what was happening, I was going to allow myself the freedom to just ride the wave and move into the pain and the discomfort so I could be fully present. And that was a whole different ball game. All of a sudden, it wasn't like this blinding, you could see the red in your eyes kind of experience. It was just being there. I was able to focus on the fact that I was just about to meet my youngest child. And I could focus on what my body was doing in the moment, and it all slowed down to that moment. And it was beautiful. When I look back on that period, that time of just giving birth to him, I think about the beauty of it. I think about the intensity of it. And I think about how I was able to accept the pain and the discomfort in that moment. And in the end, I got this most beautiful baby boy that you could ever possibly imagine. And I think back on that time, and now I try to, as best I can, move into moments of pain with, okay, I'm going to accept this. I can accept that this is where I am right now. And what am I learning from this, right? I can slow it down. And when I do that, I can begin to notice what's going on around me. I can begin to notice my relationships and my strength and the strength of other people who are there to support me, where it changed how I move through stress, crises, and challenges. So that's my story. Thank you, Jonathan. Thank you.
Okay. Well, due to the fact that y'all have listened to some episodes, you're going to know what this means.
Yes.
What that means, it is time for Topic of the Week. And Topic of the Week is chosen by our guests 99.9% of the time. And guess what? This week is no different. So and since we got two guests, we got two topics. And maybe they're related, and maybe they're not. We're about to find out. So who would like to announce their Topic of the Week first?
Go for it, Kathy.
Okay. So seeing that we are both representatives of Rawhide, I feel incumbent upon myself to state that I think we really want to focus on that a little bit this morning, because Rawhide is, I think, really going through some exciting phases of development right now. And one of those areas of development has been our outpatient program, where we get to work and we get to have these amazing experiences with our clients. And, I just feel like we want to make sure that people understand what we're doing out there. And so I was gonna maybe share a little bit about like
Well,
what people normally think of Rawhide.
Right. I think we should go to the basics.
Yeah.
Because here's my thing. I think as someone, big shout out to Angie Lee. I know a little bit about Rawhide at this point, but I actually would say that most of us know what used to be. And what used to be those commercials, and I remember those commercials, and they showed a couple of boys working on cars kind of thing. And I'm not sure if that's what Rawhide is now. So I think it would be awesome to share with the Kosh listeners, like, what is Rawhide now? And then wherever you want to go with it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And so do you want me to kind of start?
Sure,
with that,
go for it.
Sarah? Or,
Go for it.
Okay, so, Timber, you are so right. When people think of Rawhide, they think of the ranch. They think of the boys' ranch, and for good reason. I mean, that was what started everything off. And amazing. As a matter of fact, we just had one of our wonderful fish fries that we have out there monthly. This past June, we've got them going on July, August, and September. So people can go on our website. You can look up the fish fries, all that kind of stuff, right? It's amazing. But one of the big things that just opened up out there was our Bart and Cherry Star Museum. Well, we've had a museum there, but this has been expanded now, and we all know about the passing of Bart and now recently Cherry. So kind of part of our co-founding group. And they've done an amazing job out there of just giving you some insight into their lives and what they've meant to Rawhide. But, of course, we got our start, right, with back in the day with the guys. And that's what we did. And most people, you're right, think about now maybe the vehicle donation program, which is still going strong, and guys coming from all over our state to come to the ranch and engage in some healing and work projects, working on their vehicles, right? I mean, doing all sorts of stuff out there. And I think that's important and good work, and it's still happening. And I would encourage people to go to the website and look that up. Today, though, I really want to focus on like expanding our idea of what Rawhide has been up to, and maybe give a little bit of a background into why we started expanding this way. And then Sarah, you just join me with this, okay?
Sure.
But outpatient really got started years and years ago when people would start to kind of let's we've got this kid, this boy that's acting up, right? He's out of control, whatever. Help us, Rawhide, right? So they would call Rawhide, and Rawhide would talk to them, and they'd find out, well, this kid really isn't going to be somebody that's going to fit yet. Like maybe they're not acting out enough, or for whatever reasons, they're not a candidate. And so they're like, okay, but like people are asking us what to do, right? And what do we do with these people? And so they decided to create outpatient programs that were going to answer that need. And I'm not quite sure about this, but I do believe that the first outpatient program actually occurred on site, which we do not have now at the ranch. When I started, we still had the outpatient program at the ranch, but we don't do that at this point. But then people could bring their kids in from the community, and we had outpatient therapists that could work with the kids, and they knew the thing. We knew how to work with at-risk youth. And we applied those same basic principles, except for in a non-residential setting, right? And then from there on out, we expanded out, to multiple spots.
We're in a lot of different areas now. We have Green Bay, Shiocton, Appleton, Fond du Lac, and the Milwaukee area.
And most recently, Oshkosh.
Yes, we have
which we really should talk about.
Yeah,
because we're on the Kosh.
Yeah, we have a brand new area in Oshkosh. It is the Boys and Girls Community Center, which is kind of by the YMCA. But anybody who needs a space can go to the community center. You don't have to be a member of the Boys and Girls Club. and can rent out space there. So we just opened our newest office in Oshkosh, and we are starting to see clients there. We are also in a number of Oshkosh schools, hoping to expand there as well.
Yep, that has been a big factor of what Rawhide has been doing. You know, with the whole pandemic thing as well, we've been doing in-school stuff for a while. But after the during the pandemic, after that, you know, we all saw this huge decline in mental health for young people, and so we've been trying to be part of the solution for that at Rawhide by going into more and more school systems, and we feel like you know, with some expertise in youth and you know, at crisis stuff, we felt we have a lot to offer there. And so we're in, oh my gosh, a myriad of schools in the Milwaukee area, you know, up out in New London. We're even out in Stevens Point area. So we're kind of all over, Fond du Lac, Oshkosh now. So a lot of kids are having their needs addressed in the school system as well. So, you know, that's a huge thing. I just want to add that the therapist who's actually starting out the Oshkosh program is actually, there's another community outreach at the Levin in Menasha, and they have, if anyone knows that they have there's a food pantry associated with that, and she's going to be out there for like 1 day a week. So if you're receiving services at Levin, you can get some counseling, which is another great way for people to kind of receive services. You're able to get that, which I think is really cool.
Yeah, and I think being an outpatient service through the state, a lot of people just think of Rawhide Youth Services, but we serve anywhere from young kids to older people. So we specifically we're good with kids, but we serve anybody, families, couples.
Oh, for real? So these counseling services aren't just for...
No.
Oh.
Yep, boys, girls.
Yep. As a matter of
anybody.
fact, I think in terms of outpatient, I think, what was our percentage? Wasn't it like 51% female that we serve? So it's not just the guys. We have a lot of female clients.
Yeah. So we serve anybody and everybody. Whoever needs help, we will attempt to get them the help that they need.
All right, let me ask the $1 million question.
Yeah.
And that is this: is there a cost?
So yes, so we take insurance. We take Badger Care, which I know a lot of outpatient services aren't, but that's really where the need is. So a lot of our clients are on Badger Care and state insurance. We also do take commercial insurance as well, and we do have a private pay option. So anybody who needs services can get services. We also work with various counties throughout the area. So if you are in like a CCS program or
What's CCS?
Comprehensive Community Services. So usually every county has a set amount of funding that people who qualify can receive. And they'll pay for services like therapy, medical appointments, they'll transport. So if you are in need of some sort of mental health funding, contact your local county and they might be able to help you out. And I think a lot of people don't necessarily know that.
I've never heard of that.
Yeah. Yes. And CLTS, which is Children Long-Term Support. So if you have a mental disability, a physical disability that requires long-term support, you can also qualify for that as well. So that's another great program, and they'll pay for things like weighted blankets, sensory objects, different things like that, as well as counseling. So there's a lot of funding out there if people need it. They don't advertise it very well, so that kind of becomes a problem.
Yeah. You know, I would encourage, you know, one of the things that I'm really proud of at working at Rawhide is we really do offer services to folks who are in some dire straits, people who wouldn't maybe normally been able to get counseling, or a lot of places won't take, like, for example, their Badger Care. I'm really proud of that we offer that, and especially because they're some of the most vulnerable clients that we have, and I'm really glad that we get to provide those those services, and I really, really enjoy working with. We speaking of diversity, we just get a huge amount of that because we don't have to be limited to just taking the private or the private insurances, and we do have that pay as you can kind of thing going. It's a sliding scale. So that's a piece that I really like.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
About working there. One of the things that we didn't bring up, so we've talked about the school counseling, but we didn't bring up talking about the equine therapy.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, and that is a big part. I mean, so I'm certified doing EGALA, which is a certification that you can get working with equine therapy is working with horses. Okay. So it's getting out there and bringing clients in to do therapy in a really different way. We offer that in the Milwaukee area. We offer that in the Appleton area. We offer that in Shiocton. We offer that in Fond du Lac. And it's fantastic. And can I just tell a little story about the equine? That's okay. So I love working with the equine. And I have a good story about my dog Badger too, because I love the therapy animals are amazing. But several years ago, I was working with a guy, and he had just found out that, he was in foster care. He had just found out that he was not going to be going home, and that was permanent. He couldn't go home. And so I was seeing him, and people were like, this kid's going to blow. Like, he's going to blow. And so we went for a walk, which is working out in Shiocton. You can do that. Or back in the day when I would work in New London, right? Then I would take lots of walks too. And we happened to, I had asked this guy if he would, would you be willing to work with the equine? Nope, not going to work. So I'm like, okay, well, I'm walking him over there, right? So we walked over there and we kind of just stopped at the railing, just to see what was going on. And this kid's tight, like he's going to take something out, right? Like he's wound. Mm-hmm. All of a sudden, our horse at the time, and for any Rawhide folks who are listening, they'll remember this horse, Memphis, okay? Memphis is standing over there. And all of a sudden, he looks at this kid and his ears perk up and he's like, what's going on? And he just walks over to this big kid, right? And comes right up to him, takes his head and wraps his head around this kid like a big hug. This big kid that was just about going to take somebody out completely collapses, just starts crying. And that was the beginning of his grief process, where he could really start to connect with what he was feeling and not take it out sideways, right, on somebody's face, right? It was a wonderful moment. And that is the day when I became sold, right, to equine. I was like, this works. This horse just did something that I did not have the power or ability to do. And I knew from then on, I got to work with these horses. This is the thing.
I love equine therapy because it's not sitting down in an office talking back and forth. The most beautiful sessions come when I don't even say a word.
Yeah.
And it's just experiencing the power of horses, because they are totally unpredictable. You can't make it up. You can't plan for any of it. So you just gotta be there in the moment and just do it.
Yeah, they really are co-therapists. Just like I never know what Sarah's going to say.
Absolutely.
Right? Like I never know what they're going to do. And they are so in tune with the people, with you. They just do the right thing at the right time.
Absolutely.
I mean, totally. Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah. Timber, I wanted to ask you. As a person who doesn't know much about Rawhide, are there any questions that you would have? Because we know a lot about Rawhide, but from outside, it's what type of questions do you think that the listeners would want No.
Well, I'm big on this. There's a couple of things I always like to ask individuals from organizations, and it has to center around this. What are the myths and misconceptions that people might have? Because there's always those, right?
Yeah.
And those are powerful, because where there's myths and misconceptions, that usually hinders the ability of people actually wanting to connect or make contact, or they don't think it's for them, or whatever it is, right? There's not this full understanding. So I'm always like, what I always hope to do on the Kosh is get to clarity.
Yeah.
Let's get to clarity so we can understand. And so let's actually call out the myth or the misconception, and then let's get clarity.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think just being a therapist in general, a lot of people come in with the misconception that, oh, I did something bad, or my mom did something bad, and we're gonna call the police, or we're gonna call the county or CPS, which I mean does happen sometimes because we are mandated reporters, but we're not there to get you into trouble. We're not there to judge you. We're not there to parent you. We're there to just be a listening ear and to walk alongside you and be kind of your right shoulder. So I think a lot of people think that it's like, a lot of kids think like, oh, I did something bad, they're going to scold me, they're going to parent me, they're going to do this, that, and the other. But in reality, I'm there to get to the root of the problem. Like, my job is not to punish you. My job is not to get you in trouble. My job is to get to the root of the problem and help you fix it in the way that you need to fix it. So I think a lot of people have that misconception about therapy in general, especially kids, because they're like, I've been scolded. I've been like, this is punishment for me. I'm like, well, okay. What do you want to get at? What is your intention of being here? And I think giving them that power is incredibly helpful.
Absolutely. Yeah. I'm getting distracted by Timber's dog.
Oh no!
So
I warned y'all that at any given time, Bosco the podcast dog comes in and he becomes part of the episode, and he has decided that today it is all about squeaky toys.
Oh man, I totally love it. Like my therapy dog that I bring into work with me, he provides so many good moments. I'm telling you, like, he's just great. He'll be cuddling with someone one minute. He'll be like trying to get him to engage with a toy the next minute. It's like, like the horses, they just like they kind of know, like, hey, we need to lighten things up a little bit. Like, look at him. He's bringing in the fun.
I'm going to tell you right now,
bringing the fun in.
he brings in the naughty, because that's what he does. Bosco is naughty.
Oh, everybody, he's so cute. He's white and fuzzy and like, he's so adorable.
Oh yeah, he's that dude.
He's that one. He's that dog. He's so cute. But yeah, I would agree. One of the things that I think a lot of people, just in general with counseling, are especially, I think sometimes parents are afraid to engage because they feel like their kid's acting up, and then they feel all awful. We've failed as parents, blah blah blah. And one of the things I love to do is sometimes start off a session with one of my failure stories. Because, as parents, I have a lot of compassion for the parents, because, none of us are perfect, and we've all made mistakes. And we all have our, things that we wish we wouldn't have done. And it really helps a parent to relax and be able to engage in the process when they know that I'm not about judging. I'm there to kind of help them and really look at, okay, what's the process in this family? How are you guys doing this, right? I know what our process was. I know what worked and didn't work in our house. I had to change and do some different things. And you guys have to do that too, right? No big deal. We can do this together, right? And trying to reassure parents when they bring their kids in that they don't have to be worried about that kind of stuff. I mean, they don't have to worry about it. They can relax.
All right. Last question that I have. I would think that in some cases, what you have is you have parents who may have gone through systems themselves,
Absolutely. Yep.
right? And
yeah.
if they themselves have gone through systems, I'm going to make some assumptions like that there's lack of trust, judgment on what will happen to their child. You're just starting from a different standpoint,
Yes.
right? There's not this automatic buy-in. How do you maneuver those? How do you approach those
Yeah.
situations?
Yeah, absolutely. Those are tough ones. And because sometimes they look at you and you're like, how could you possibly understand me? And how could I possibly trust you? Like, and I think I try to address that with people right off the bat. Like, there are going to be areas that I may not understand, and I want you to be able to teach me and let me know what your experience has been. I think that's an important piece. But, at the same time, it's also trying to get people comfortable with you as a human. You know what I mean? It's like, and making sure that they know that you have also had those errors, maybe not the same, but had difficult things that you've had to work through. I think that helps make the process more human, honestly. But I think there's a lot of teaching that's involved. I mean, I have several kids that I'm working with right now where the families are involved with probation, parole, that kind of stuff. They've been in jail, and some of them come in and you can see everybody sitting there with a lot of quiet, not wanting to bring stuff up because they don't want dad or mom to go back to jail, right? And so those are tough sessions because as a mandated reporter, you're walking a line, and how do you build confidence and trust that you've got their best, you're thinking of their best, and how do you do that? And I think that is a tough one, right? I mean, because that's the reality. Any counselor anywhere is going to have that as their backdrop. We are mandated to say it to every single person who walks in the room. And it's a tough one.
Yeah, I think for a lot of professionals in the mental health field, you are, at least maybe it's just my experience, but people expect a certain amount of expertise. And I, as any other counselor, have a master's degree, went through the licensing procedure, but I don't know everything. I have to look stuff up all the time. I've seen a lot of stuff, but I haven't seen everything. So I think being humble about that is something that I try to strive for in session of like, you have some symptoms that I have not seen yet. We're going to figure this out together. And also, like, I'm also human. Like, I have a family. I have a child. I don't know all of the experiences, nor could I ever experience everything that everybody's ever experienced. So being humble about that as well, and making myself feel more human by the way I dress, by the way I speak, and not being so super professional. I mean, there's a level of professionalism that you have to follow, but making myself be more approachable and more human is also really helpful.
I mean, it's going to shift just a little bit, but this goes back to one of the things we were talking about earlier. And one of the things that, especially in this area, but in general, is diversity. And what I wish that we had more of was a more diverse grouping of therapists as well. I think all those things would help us as we move forward because there's so many things that we can, I guess, so many aspects of different people's experiences that we would glean stuff from, that we could talk about. And so sometimes I miss that. And this is a real global one, but sometimes we don't have enough men in general in our field. And sometimes I really miss, having a guy come in and, you're working with a couple, a family, and you got a dad sitting there, and it'd be kind of nice to have banter back and forth between a female and a male therapist, right? Or have in a case of, a situation where you've got, a bunch of kids, different therapists have seen different kids, to have a more diverse group of therapists where we can all do the same thing, where we can go back and forth and have that occur in a therapy session. I wish we could do that more. And maybe that's coming. I would like to see it happening. I think that would help, make many people more comfortable.
Messenger matters. Representation matters.
It does. It does. And I think that would bring about comfort for many people.
Okay. Is there any last things you would like to share about this topic?
I think if people, I always say to my clients, like, try us on. Like, no therapist is for everybody. So give it a couple weeks. If you love it, come back. If you hate it, we'll find you a different therapist. Like, there's no one size fits all for therapy. And like Kathy was saying, each person has their own experience or perspective about things. So try us out. See if you like it. If you don't, I mean, there's always other routes to go. And I think, at least for me, and I know Kathy too, if you don't vibe with us, like, we are more than happy to help you move along to somewhere that you would find more benefit. Like, that's what we're here for. We're here for your benefit. So, I mean, it's all you. It's all what you want it to be.
Yeah. Yeah, and I love that Rawhide has so many different modalities. Like, if you're feeling stuck, I can bring somebody over to Shiocton and I can work with them, right? With doing equine therapy. Even having my dog in the room sometimes, many people really love that. And I know people who wouldn't even progress without him in the room. We have people who do EMDR. We have people who do brain spotting. There's so many modalities, to utilize there. It's a big organization. We're all over the place. And I think, I think there's so many advantages to it. So I love working at Rawhide. It's actually a really cool place.
Yeah. And side note, we are hiring. So.
Oh yeah.
If you like us and
Indeed.
you want to come work with us.
Let's say that. We are, as are many places now.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
Yeah. And there's a need. There's definitely a need. Absolutely.
Okay. Well, we're going to start wrapping up this episode.
Very good.
All right, Koch listeners, I just want to take a moment and say, well, first I think I'm going to say thank you, Sarah. Thank you, Kathy, for spending time with us and having this conversation. This was fire. But to the Koch listeners, I want to say thank you for spending time with us. Thank you for giving us your minds and ears. Thank you for caring about another amazing set of neighbors, people who are out here making a difference in our community, helping to make it a better place. I hope y'all really appreciate these conversations because they're 100, they're real, and they're authentic. We are a work in progress. We're trying to become the #1 podcast in all of Wisconsin. I need your help. A couple of ways you can help. Well, what would you like to see? How would you like to help us? Do you got suggestions for new segments? Would you like to participate in segments? Would you like to be a guest? Would you like to recommend a guest? No matter what it is, we are open to it, and you can reach us at askthekosh@gmail.com. Once again, that is askthekosh@gmail.com. Also, due to the fact that I do think we've got this amazing platform, and the more people that seem to learn about it, the more people seem to enjoy it, and we're building community. We're building community in a different kind of way. And what I need you to do is to help me do that is, while you're listening right now, hit the subscribe button or leave us a review. These things improve our analytics. The better our analytics, the more eyes and ears get to learn about this gift known as the Kosh. All right, now we get down to the business at hand, and that is this. it is shout out time. Who's going to kick off shout outs?
Oh, man. Shout out to my family, to Kathy, to Timber for having this amazing podcast. I think it's a really great thing you're doing here. Shout out to the people of Wisconsin who just keep thriving and keep doing what you're doing. And Rawhide. Got to shout out Rawhide because, I mean, it's an incredible place to work. We serve incredible people, so. Yeah.
We really do. There's some amazing people there.
Yeah,
100%.
absolutely.
A lot, very dedicated, devoted people.
Absolutely.
With a mission. 100%. And I want to shout out my 3 amazing sons. You guys, I love you. I love you so much. And my adopted, wonderful daughter-in-law. I love you. Oh my gosh, I love you. And my adorable granddaughter, Amelia, you are my heart. I love you so much, so much. And the rest of my extended family, herd, and friends. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Love it. Okay. Let me get these shout outs off real quick. Once again, I want to send a shout out to Sunken Paddle for y'all are the coolest. I just want to be 100 about that. And I am so excited for people to taste the Kosh. Oh yeah, let me tell you, I don't just talk about it, we be about it, and you need to go check it out. I want to send a shout out to Casa Hispana. I got an opportunity to go to their scholarship gala last night, and it's fantastic. I love the pride in the room. Being in that space with all my Latinx friends, brothers and sisters, and the proud, what I love is the proud parents, proud of those students earning that scholarship, and just the heritage, the tradition. Like, for real, if you've never been in that space, you need to get in that space. And I'm not gonna lie, the food was fire. So because sometimes you go to galas and their food ain't good. This food was fire, and let me tell you what it was, authentic. So I'm just saying, yeah, there's
I like
a theme
that word,
there.
authentic.
Yes,
We like that word.
And so I want to send a shout out to my friend Adriana over at the Appleton Public Library. I want to send a shout out to Noah, NBC 26. I did a nice little interview this week about a poet laureate program that's getting introduced in Appleton. And my man Noah, he put together a nice little piece. I'm going to say, he chopped it up well. So, and he's a character. I actually enjoy his energy. Want to send a shout out to NTD. Now, once again, Kosh listeners, if you don't know, if you live around my neighborhood, there's a thing called fiber. We love this fiber internet. It is fast. I'm going to tell you how fast it is. It's so fast that when you think that your computer is getting old and that you might need a new computer and you need some more RAM or something like that, you might just have slow internet, because my internet is fire fast. And I am enjoying it. All of a sudden, my computer is fire fast. So get that NTD fiber. And NTD, if you are listening, you need to go on and hire your boy. I am a great spokesperson. Just go on and sponsor a couple of episodes here. We'll make that work. And then last, never least, always first and foremost, I got to send a shout out to my wife and as you Kosh listeners always know, for allowing us to continue to make podcasts in her house. Baby, I love you. Now,
Amen. That's a good thing to do.
Now we got one last thing to do, and that is this. You get 3 choices. And the 3 choices are this. Option A, we need some parting words of wisdom for the Kosh listeners. Option B, tell us, what would yourself today tell your 13-year-old self? And option C, you can do both because it's multiple choice. There's always got to be an all of the above, and that is how we get down. So, and I'm not even going to ask who's going to go first. I'm just going to go straight to Kathy.
Oh, man.
Yes.
Oh, all right. Let's see here. So, I'm going to go with maybe advice to my 13-year-old self. Oh, girl, man, 13. I remember you. Oh, such a fearful girl, but so stubborn. Oh, so stubborn. I would say, you know what? It's okay to have a voice. It's okay. And it's okay to have feelings. And you know what? You don't got to be ashamed of them. You don't got to be ashamed of your feelings. You can have them and be yourself. Don't adapt yourself to somebody else, because then you're going to lose yourself. Don't adapt. Just be who you are, and you're going to be okay. And that's what I'd say to her.
I would say my 13-year-old self, don't ever stop working out, because once you get old and things hurt, you're on a good track right now. You play basketball, you play golf, like don't ever stop working out, because things slow down.
Amen.
Oh man.
Oh, that's facts.
Yeah, I'll speak to that one.
Okay. Well, that's another one. What did y'all think?
Loving it.
Lovely.
Loved it.
I could speak
Loved
for another
it.
hour.
Yeah.
Hey,
Timber makes it easy.
it's the Kosh.
Yeah.